As in the previous chapter, we jump right into the story. Kurt was happy to be back home, but he had no clue where Dokhum and the other alien researchers were. Days passed before Dokhum contacted him again. Dokhum told Kurt he didn't know where they were and that it was pointless for Kurt to try to find them. Time was running out, and the alien generals on the huge stealth mothership orbiting the Earth expected some findings from the researchers within 7 days. Dokhum explained that Kurt would have to gather the data himself and submit it to the mothership to prevent them from destroying the Earth. But the plan would only work if the data was good enough, and Dokhum wasn't even sure what good enough meant. He directed Kurt to his basement where the spaceship was more or less parked. There was something resembling a satellite dish that could measure the happiness of living creatures around them. Kurt's job was to adjust it and measure the happiness in his area. He fumbled around, somehow got it to work, and told Dokhum what he was reading on the display. The happiness in Kurt's area was poor. That wouldn't satisfy the alien generals. Kurt was a bit shocked by the results and what this might mean for him and the whole planet. This wouldn't be good enough to prevent the alien generals from destroying the planet. Why save a planet where people seem to be miserable anyway? Kurt simply had to spread happiness throughout his neighborhood somehow. Suddenly the connection turned bad and Kurt was no longer able to hear Dokhum. He realized he had to come up with a plan on his own and sat down to think. He would talk more to his neighbors and find ways he could help them. He couldn't think of anything else he could do, so the next morning when he spotted Mary, the grumpy old woman from next door, working outside in her garden, he ran over to talk to her. They talked about flowers and gardening and some other things Mary loved. Kurt was grateful that she kept her garden so beautiful and told her how he enjoyed looking out of his window at her beautiful garden every day. That put a smile on the face of the grumpy old woman, the first time Kurt had seen her smile. And in the evening when Kurt went into his basement to check the happiness indicator, it had indeed risen. As Kurt left the house the next day to do some shopping, he saw John, his other neighbor, smiling at him and waving 2 tickets. He told Kurt he had just 1 ticket to a new play that evening, but he and his wife couldn't go because they wouldn't be able to find a babysitter on such short notice. Kurt sensed his chance to do something good and offered to look after the kids. John was surprised by the offer because Kurt had never been so forthcoming. So in the evening, John and his wife went to the theater where Kurt looked after the 2 young kids. When he got back later that night and checked the happiness indicator, it had moved again and now read average, Kurt thought. Average, that isn't good enough, and just 5 more days to go. What could he do? In the following days he mowed the lawn for Mary and bought new shoes for John's kids. All this moved the happiness indicator, but only a little, and on the evening of day 6, just 1 day before the alien generals would decide the fate of the planet, the happiness indicator was close to good, but still on average. Kurt had no clue what to do. He felt helpless and wondered if it was time to face the fact that they were all going to die. He sat down and started to write letters to all the people in his life he was grateful for. He kept writing and writing and wrote about all the little things he had experienced and was grateful for. This made him feel good, pretty good actually. There were so many things he was grateful for, and just when he was about to go to bed, Dokhum called in again. He urged Kurt to go and check the happiness indicator, but Kurt hesitated and told Dokhum about the bad news and that he had tried his best but it hadn't helped much. When he was down in his basement and looked at the happiness indicator, he couldn't believe his eyes. Now it was almost very good and just a small bit of the indicator was still on good. So being grateful had raised his happiness. Despite the troubles he was in, he felt somehow calm and happy. Maybe that would work. He spent the rest of the night writing letters to people to simply say thanks for the role they had played in his life and for the experiences they had shared. On the next morning, the happiness indicator showed "very good." And he pushed the red submit button on the happiness indicator and it looked like some data got sent. Then nothing happened. Later on that evening, his arm began to shake again and Doc Hume started to talk with Kurt. "Kurt, thank you for getting everything done on time. I have no idea how you managed to do this, but they received the data and are satisfied with it. They wanted to pick us up again, but we said we need more time to finish our research. They will be back in a year. Until then, the Earth is safe, but we will have to provide more detailed data and we have to get out of here. We have received the happiness data as well, and what you did this week was great. Here's some of our findings. Remember when you spoke to Mary, your unhappy neighbor? You were grateful for seeing her beautiful garden and you told her, and it made her smile. It didn't only make her happy. You might have guessed it after writing all those letters to people you were grateful to. Being grateful not only makes other people happy, it actually raises your own happiness a lot. Being kind works as well. And again, our data shows that doing something nice for someone not only makes them, but also you more happy. Very interesting findings. So if you're a very selfish person and just want to be happy, it absolutely makes sense to be kind and grateful to the people in your life. Kurt was glad to hear all that. They had saved the planet, at least for a year, and the whole week of trying to be nice and make people around him happy had made him really happy as well. He realized that he had become a pretty different person in the few weeks since the aliens arrived. He was more in touch with his inner processes and had learned how to work with them. He also understood that when it comes to pure happiness, you get what you give. So Kurt and the planet Earth are safe for now, but the mission is not complete. But let's review what happened in this part of the story. Acts of kindness and showing gratitude have a direct impact on your own happiness. Let's start by having a look at acts of kindness. Basically, that's when you do something nice for someone else without expecting anything in return. According to several studies in the field of positive psychology, random acts of kindness not only make you more popular in your social environment, they also boost your immune function and decrease aging. Those are impressive benefits. But there's more. The positive feelings of happiness you get from being kind to others replace negative thoughts, boost your confidence, and give your life more meaning and purpose because you feel more useful by helping others. A study showed that one act of kindness every day didn't raise the self-reported level of happiness as much as a single day with several acts of kindness. One explanation is that a single day with an unusual number of acts of kindness is more memorable. It still makes sense though to do something kind every day. You should also try to raise your awareness to spot kindness by others in your everyday life. It will not only make you feel better, it will motivate you to do more acts of kindness yourself. There's a downside to being kind as well, though. If you are too kind, or your acts of kindness interfere with your goals and the day-to-day activities that matter to you, they will lower your perceived happiness. You also shouldn't expect recognition for your kindness or anything else in return. Being kind is something you do for yourself. So just do some acts of kindness no one else will notice. But do not help those who do not want your help, of course. So kindness is great for you and those you are kind to. Now let's have a look at gratitude, which turns out to be very powerful as well. Studies show that gratitude generates many positive outcomes, including making you calmer and giving you more peace of mind, creating and maintaining more satisfying personal relationships, and giving you more happiness. It also helps you to appreciate the good things in life, boost your self-esteem, and replaces negative thoughts and emotions. So you can also use this as a loop breaker whenever you think about something over and over again. Just say, stop and think about 3 things you're grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours. By the way, this gratitude exercise is good to do anytime. Just doing this on a daily basis increased the self-reported happiness of participants in a random assigned placebo-controlled study by 25%. That's a pretty good deal for the time and effort spent and what you get out of it. So maybe make this a habit and think about 3 things you were grateful for just before you go to bed, for example. Kindness and gratitude are practices you should do for yourself. They are self-help techniques with proven results that create win-win situations. Doing something for yourself while being nice to others is perfectly fine and the best way to be selfish.